Alright, so if you missed episode 1, I want you to go back and watch that, because this episode 2 is where it matters the most. Your scapula. This is your scapula power, and let me show you a few drills and why it's important. Let's get started. Alright, so this is where I'm gonna go a little bit in deep dive into this more, because this is gonna be like a lot of people who saying your protraction doesn't really matter, your protraction does. I'm gonna get one thing straightened out. Let me first demonstrate a skill or a drill for you first. It's a shrug. So this shrug right here is basically like for right here for your traps. That's all you're doing just for your traps. Now, let's say this is like a baby advanced tuck version of it, right? Let's see you coming in, you just doing that. At the end of the day, this is not going to be enough for you to hold yourself up. What's going to be helpful a lot is if you're able to just breathe in from here. Suck it in. Start going like this. And as you can see, when you actually get into your tuck, it's going to help you out a lot. Now, yes, there is going to be a point of where you won't be over protracting a lot, and that's the one thing I tell people, or I should say that you should be careful of, is over protraction. But this right here is the main starter why it matters. All right, so that last one I know is not the greatest example, because I'm still learning my planche, and I will be honest with you about that. But that's one thing I've learned, is that if you actually just try to overthink it a lot of times, you will probably never get in the end. This is just ways that I kind of made it a little bit easier for myself. And as you can tell, the planche that I'm figuring out is actually a shoulder dominant skill in the end, because it makes sense, because when you actually leaning in forward, the most load is going to be your shoulders in the end. So the most I can ever say is doing scapula push-ups in the end. Now you can do this from the ground or do this from your hands. I'm just doing this with just elevated form of it, because it's just a little bit harder and it's more activation for me in the end. I might be wrong about it, but that's just how I like doing the end. So I'm coming up from here. He's going back and forth just like that. Now what you can do is transfer up, coming down, making sure your elbows are locked out in the end. You're gonna feel this tension all the time. Now, if you're like starting out, like that's too much for you to do on elevate, just come from here, from your knee variation, and just do like that. Scapular protraction right there. You're gonna feel it's gonna be right here. That is what you wanna do. That is a muscle right here that's called the serratus anterior. You will need to strengthen that muscle a lot. That's one thing that I'm doing for myself, that I am slowly but surely strengthening up a lot, is just doing that. That's like a very easy go-to exercise that you can always do. And you don't really need parallettes at all. You can just use your hands and go from there. All right, then now you got the gist of it. And kind of the main two ideas to do on the floor and then do on a elevated surface. But what I would do, if you are a complete beginner and you're building up to the tuck planche, I would do this. I would say, I'm scooch up a little bit too. I would say go for your pseudo push-ups like this. And then as soon as you're at the top, make sure you over up. You're gonna feel your serratus anterior. Hold that for a few seconds, and then you come down. Do those for about 4 sets of 8, and you're gonna feel your serratus anterior. You're gonna feel a lot going on, because you can see that your muscles are gonna be having like a lot of progress and a lot of struggle doing this move a lot. Now, from the elevated surface, you can do this on the elevated surface doing the pseudo push-up. It's gonna be a lot more challenging, but let me show you how it is. So for this one, you can actually lean in as much as possible you can. You hold that up, you protract up. And this is gonna be a lot harder. So that's the thing, you're adding a little bit more load for yourself when you're doing this. Just make sure that you inch yourself up, you leaning as much as possible. You're gonna feel to a point where it's gonna be a little bit too much for your shoulder. So just ease yourself in. If it's like an inch or two, make sure you record yourself every time you're doing this. So when you're inching up a little more with the elevated surface, you're actually seeing how far you're actually leaning in. And one last thing before I end this, make sure if you're starting out, you get a couple of resistance bands. So I'm gonna act like this is a resistance band, just imagine this is it. And you hold it over to the bar, you scapulae up like this. You're gonna feel it strengthening up a lot. Now, eventually, you want to use thick bands, like really thick bands in the end. Don't be using small ones, don't be using the thin ones. Sure, use thin ones to warm up, but if you want to get like this psoas anterior to get strengthened up, use thick band in the end. Now, I don't have the example I'm showing to you right now for the resistance bands, but use the thickest band you can use and go from right here. What that's going to do is that's going to help out a lot for what you want to do for your tuck planche. So when you add this in and you have a good core, that is how you can easily get into a tuck planche. Now, this is only just the build up from it. There's a lot more episodes coming up. And if you enjoyed this video, I try to make this a little bit shorter for y'all so I can really get to the chase and you know what exercise you can do just directly like right there from it. If this has helped you a lot, let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe for many more videos like this. And let me know how the series is going. I'm trying to help everybody out to get to the tuck planche. And let's just get started with our planche journey because I'm learning my planche too. But this is one thing I learned that helped me out a lot. That I'm seeing a little more progress in here. So let's get started. See you next episode and next video. Peace.